Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122, over and above our normal tariffs already being charged.
The United States may be required to refund billions of dollars to importers who paid the IEEPA tariffs, even though some importers may have already passed on costs to consumers or others.
The Supreme Court's decision that President Donald Trump lacks the power to declare an economic emergency and impose tariffs upsets so much of his political and economic agenda. He was gearing up to go into Tuesday night's State of the Union address to say that the tariffs were bringing back jobs, were creating economic opportunity. That's one of his big sales pitches for the midterms. Now, those tariffs are in doubt. He has to find alternatives. And as a result, a lot of the chaos that we saw as those tariffs were imposed in 2025 are going to carry over into the midterms, into President Trump's messaging. And the gains that he's promised might not materialize. What happened with the Supreme Court ruling was a rare yet pointed rebuke of President Trump's power. They said he exceeded his authority. And what we have seen as the president has tried to concentrate more power inside the White House is not a lot of pushback by Congress, but that dam is starting to break. Earlier this month, Congress said that they opposed Trump's tariffs on Canada. We've seen the Federal Reserve stress their independence. And now we've said that the Supreme Court believes that Trump cannot go as far as he would like to go.
What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular. When in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security. And also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities, as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries. But a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122, over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. We're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge.
I don't know exactly how this is going to play out with the trade frameworks that President Trump said were the result of the tariffs. He most recently finalized one of those deals with Indonesia on Thursday, and you have pending agreements that have investments tied to them with the European Union, Japan, and South Korea. But what we do know that's really important here is that many of these countries were already going to make some of the investments that President Trump is discussing. So some of those benefits might go forward. What's not clear is how binding any of those agreements are going to be once Trump is out of office.
This never-used-before Section 122 allows any U.S. president to impose duties up to 15% for up to 150 days on any country to address large and serious balance of payment issues, which does not require further investigations for its application. 150 days later, the Congress would need to look into approval for its extension.
They're existing, they're there. Remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect.
Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs. 6 justices simply ruled that IEEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026.
What has happened is that democracy in America has proved that it can correct itself. But having said that, President Trump will find other means to impose tariff, but he will not be able to make again the assertions which he has been making, X percentage of tariff, and he calls it reciprocal, quote unquote. And now there is nothing reciprocal about it. And has any media in India or in the West pointed out that there is nothing reciprocal in it? No. So, that sort of bravado, with which aggressiveness, with which he announced, he will have to change. Now he will have to be a little more country specific or commodity specific.